Good morning. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone to be part of this power breakfast this Sunday morning. I know coming on a Sunday morning, and especially professionals like Dr. Manchanda, who get probably one day in a week to spend with family, to take out time and share his thoughts, which he will do with all of you, is a pain. But he's done that. I think his passion towards contributing back for franchising. But everybody else in the room, I think coming for this session means that you're serious about the business. So are we. At Franchise India, we're very extremely serious about this business. We've been around 19 years talking on franchising, contributing in franchising, seeing trends, practices, and so on and so forth. And I've realized in last, especially 2 years, there has been a tremendous change in the way franchising operates in this country, and not only this country. I've been fortunate to travel to developing markets. I have a friend, Troy, who's come from Manila. So I've at least last 6 months gone about 3 times to that market. And I've seen some trends there, and I've seen some mature markets and so on and so forth. So I think franchising has not changed so much, which has changed in the last 2 years, what I'm seeing overall as a trend in the business. So while I was designing this morning talk, and I was thinking that how very simply in maybe 10 odd minutes I can run with everybody that what I feel the ecosystem of franchising holds in India, and how I can simply define that. So I came up with this 888 rule, which I felt was very well defined for franchising. So there were 3 different factors which our ecosystem holds. One, obviously, what are the 8 threats this industry has, and what are the 8 opportunities this industry has, and what would be the 8 defining trends which this industry would have. So let me start with threats, or probably challenges, I would say, not more so threats. So there are many challenges, especially last 2 odd years. I have seen some tremendous challenges. Just before I go to talk about these 8 challenges, touch upon yesterday. If you were part of the show, we had a fantastic show. We got about 13,000 people walking in, and I think today we would have much bigger expected audience. One thing was very, very common in the 13,000 entrepreneurs who walked in yesterday. They were all opportunity seekers. They were all desperate about finding something for themselves, right? They were all looking for what should be they spending their next 5-10 years on. And also equally, I found that there were gaps in expectations which they had, what they wanted and what they were getting, right? So I will start with the first gap in the whole structure is, I call it financing. I felt that out of 13,000, there were a lot of people who had aspiration to do some business, but they probably would have lesser affordability, right? They might be a great operators, they might be having the energy, appetite, contribution to run a business like that, but might lack the kind of investment it holds, right? And most of the businesses I have seen gone down in the last 5 years were because of they were undercapitalized. So one of the biggest problem our industry, especially in India, is that we don't have what we call franchise financing. Franchise India is working very hard with bankers, NBFCs, other funding organizations. SBI has just launched a program on that. But we still don't have what we call franchise financing in this country, which is a major, major drawback. The day it opens up, I think we will, Kavya was saying that 35 billion or whatever the number is, I think we will be doing a 2x or a 3x growth in this industry. The second, I think, is training. And this is lacking from, I think, franchise organizations. Most of the organizations, and we are fortunate to work with 70-80% of all the companies, they don't have strong training capabilities to train their franchises. Most of them just try to pass like a very orthodox distribution structure we used to have, where we give our product or a service to somebody and train them on product or service, but they have no capability to transfer the knowledge that they can run and operate a business like that. Nobody has actually invested on that infrastructure. Like there is a subway office in India, and I was recently went to their Gurgaon office, and I saw maybe 2 or 3 cabins and 1 training room. That was India office of Subway. So company like Subway gives so much importance on training. They had no other infrastructure. That's the only infrastructure they hold. They are in India just because they want to do training. So we lack, as an organization, we are not designing training capabilities. Third, which is equally important, is sustainability and performance. If we continue to have this investor confidence of these 13,000 people who walked in, we need to show performance. We need to make our franchise systems make money. They need to create dividends for everybody. I feel that a lot of businesses are extremely tight and they lack that performance. And that has to be improved. We need to find out businesses which have adequate margins to be shared with the franchise models. Input cost is another challenge in India. While franchising by nature should bring economies of scale. So we should buy cheaper, transfer that benefit to the consumer. But that's not happening. Even chains which are, fast food chains or something like that, they are not able to make that input cost change. So that's a big challenge in our business. Another challenge which was an opportunity, while we look at India and say very diverse country, but that's a challenge. Its business models are not designed to be adapted in all markets in India. It's very extremely difficult to do it. Look at our show. Last 35 odd days, I have been observing what is going on. So I run 10 offices across India. So most of the offices started with saying that the Sraddhs are going on, people don't want to pay this time. After Sraddhs are finished, then last 10 days they're saying the holidays are going on, the banks are not open. So I say that this is a 1 month of business. But 20 days people didn't want to pay because there was not the best days to pay. And 10 days they cannot pay because the banks are not working. And how would enterprises get impacted? There would be a Durga Puja going on in Calcutta with 7 days holidays would be announced. And officially by the government. Right? And the most important retail time of the year. So a lot of things in our business models are so diverse that how we design business models which can be adapted to each market is very, very complex. I've been actually, last point, the 8th point of the issues of franchising. I've been actually last 19 odd years against the word regulation. So almost all articles, all magazines, at the forums, I've said that regulation is not required in India. There are some regulated markets for franchising like Malaysia, which I think Troy can touch upon, US and Australia, they are regulated markets. And India didn't have regulation. But I think we need one now. We need not a very stringent, but very definitive regulation structure, which can make some discipline in the franchise industry, so we don't have these not so developed franchise consultants which come in the market and just take money from people and don't perform. So we are becoming extremely conscious as a company, Franchise India, because it would damage the reputation of the industry itself. So as a responsible part of the industry, we need to make sure that there is some kind of regulation structure. Franchise India is going to propose a white paper on that to Ministry of Commerce, so that we can able to bring some change. I will invite participation from the industry, hopefully in the next quarter, so that we can collectively represent that how we can all make sure that we don't let the industry go down and the industry confidence go down. So these are about 8 difficulties I would call which are in the industry. So let's talk about now opportunities. Opportunities are many, and while having all these difficulties, we still have been growing. So we've grown at about 25%. Another difficulty which I think I missed is infrastructure. Infrastructure is also a major issue in this country. We had in 2003 the first mall, and 2004 to 2009 we did 600 malls. the largest development of franchising happened those times. And now in the entire country we've only got 12 mall under development. So we have these spikes which are related with more real estate than the retail consumption. Not that the people have stopped buying, but because the real estate is down, there's no more development. And then it links with franchising also, because where would I put more stores, where would I put more restaurants, and so on and so forth. So there has to be done. Second, also I feel that urban development in India is not very defined. So look at a market like South Bombay, or look at Khan market of Delhi. People still live there in the neighborhoods. They still need a pharmacy, they still need a dairy, they still need entire thing. The affordability of real estate or input cost would not let these community businesses run. How would they run those places? Eventually they would go to die, or they would convert into something more lucrative because they know what the real estate cost is. So it's not very proportionately designed. So we need to do something in urban planning so that our infrastructure gives and accommodates these smaller businesses to coexist in those markets. So opportunity viewpoint, again 8 opportunities. First, franchise businesses are consumption led. So that's a big opportunity. India is all about consumption. Right? So directly proportionate. It helps our industry. Second, it works on OPM principle, other people money. So it's capital light. You can expand faster, especially for franchise organizations. It's a great form of capital, and especially in the times where you either cannot get a debt or equity, franchising can be a great option for growth. Another area which is very important, and I'm seeing this huge change going on, is that every family business or traditional businesses are in the era of diversification. So they are diversifying from whatever they were doing. So yesterday I had a lot of meetings, people coming from saying, I used to run a steel industry, I want to shift from there. A lot of that is happening because there is a huge business change which is coming in this country. While Narendra Modi, our Prime Minister, has a great vision for Make in India, but if you really see, manufacturing is shrinking. We already at 32% and 68% almost is service and retail businesses. And by 2020, we will be 80% service and retail and 20% manufacturing, unless and until we create some major impact in Make in India. At least in the small business sphere, I don't think that's going to change. So a lot of shift would happen from conventional business owners to something new they want to do. So that creates an opportunity for franchising. So a lot of family businesses around, they're looking for a new opportunity for themselves. Another thing which is helping franchise brands to grow faster is aggregated news. Earlier, I used to go market by market. So if I was a brand in North, nobody knew me in South or knew me in East. So I need to go every time a new market, put people, deploy teams, open up that market and so on. Now what happens, you open up a nice restaurant in Delhi, the next day people know in Bombay. They know in entirety. You start getting inquiries, you're just 15 days old and you start getting franchise inquiries coming from different parts. So it's much faster from an expansion viewpoint. Another area which always helped franchising globally is lack of creating what we call white collar jobs. So beyond 6 or 7 cities of India, we don't create jobs. So if I also give example that if I live in a city called Bhatinda in Punjab and I want to make 70,000 rupees, there is no job available like that. But there are enough opportunities which you can do in those cities to make that 70,000 rupees, right? So that creates a tremendous amount of opportunity, especially in the 900 top cities of India. Micro distribution, which is the biggest problem. In India, everything is very hyper. Right? So recently I was invited by a not so famous Satyam group, the older Mr. Raju. He started a new business on health. So I was fortunate to say the structure. So they bring health services to home. So they were creating something which is very high technology centric, where they can know that when the person entered your home, what kind of healthcare services they provided and so on and so forth. It's brilliant stuff, very well presented. But it's a micro distribution. If I need healthcare, I need it in 20 minutes. How do you bring that 20-minute last mile connect? Right. So I'll give you an example what I did for one company. So there's a company called MyGlam, which is actually representing here. So they were also a beauty services at home structure. Right. Now they can create a great app, hired a lot of these independent beauty service providers, and now my inquiry would come from some part of Bombay and I have somebody sitting in some part. The travel time, reaching time is impossible to do. So what we did was we created a franchise model. So we created every pin code one franchisee who would have 10 therapists or beauticians trained, and whenever you do that on app, the inquiry goes to that franchisee. He manages only 10 people, does the last mile fulfillment. So this micro distribution, last mile fulfillment would create a tremendous opportunity for franchising. I see a lot of digital companies who have that commitment or promise to reach out to your homes in 20 minutes, 15 minutes and so on and so forth, would all have to adapt franchising. Another thing which is very, very important, I think India has been a shopkeeper nation. So to every 60 Indians, we have one store. And these all mom and pop businesses are very sure that they don't going to exist. So it's creating an urgency for them to change. So they are becoming a new customers for us in this show, who are walking in and say, I've been running something by my own name and I know it's not going to last. So they are ready for that change. And that change is, I think, what is called modernization of retail or modernization of services. So that's going to be another huge opportunity to come in. So now I will go to the last part of my presentation before the other panelists can come and share their viewpoints, is that 8 defining trends which I feel business models would have to adapt, right, in next 4 to 5 years to come. One is what I think, while we've all been saying India is going to be do it for me market, but I feel that the next 3 to 4 years there will be a huge do it yourself market. You know, so that's going to be a big thing. So laundry concepts, where I go to a laundromat and get my clothes washed myself, things like that. Particularly, I've done a lot of research in that space. So our teams were in Indonesia. There's one single company which runs only in Jakarta 1,300 laundromats. One single city, 1,300. Same was Manila. Some lot of companies were doing that. So I think a lot of concepts like that, which would be people light, do it yourself kind of concepts, would emerge. I think man on the truck concept, it's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity in US, where somebody in his own vehicle drives down to your home or office or something like that and do things for you. It can be any kind of services. It can be B2C services, business to business services, business to institution services, and so on and so forth. So a lot of that would happen. Healthcare would reach your home, beauty would reach your home, other services would reach your home, even the gardener would reach your home, fully equipped in his car or whatever vehicle he drives. What we call it, the third big trend, I think, is sharing economy. So a lot of business models were not sustainable earlier because they were infrastructure or asset heavy. So most of the business models now would be asset light. So there's a company there called Sporty Beans. They teach kids from 2 to 8, and they now run in community clubs. So they go to any club and say, you have a garden free, we can use that, and we will run the business model there. So business is asset light. So there is no physical cost of running that asset and so on and so forth. And that's why most of the businesses actually failed, because we had this huge input cost which was fixed lying there doing nothing. And the overall world is changing. I mean, actually, if you see Ola and Uber is actually how do you sweat out assets. That's the model. Another area which I think I have done for one of the companies here, it's not been attempted anywhere in the world, I think so, is what we call it a FSOP, right? Like ESOP, there should be FSOP. So if you go down this show, you find a lot of new brands, but very exciting. And most of the franchisee thinks that, look, if I take this to my city, then I am really building the brand. And why should I give him franchise fees? And tomorrow, I still be running income, but he will build a value. I am not building any value. So can we create a structure where you not only do income, but you also build value? So like ESOPs, you get equity to contribute to your company. Similarly, can I create a model where a franchisee gets some equity in the parent company? So there is a huge value creation for him, and huge value for retention of a franchisee. There is no reason why he would leave the network, because he's been part of that growth. So I think this is one of the areas which especially I will like to work for next 2 years, that how do we create collective value creation. Another thing which is going to be a big trend is a technology connect. There's a young guy I met, it's a very interesting story, about 2 months back. He's the fastest growing bar franchise in this country. So what he did was, he created a technology piece, IIT Bombay guy, and he created this brand called Bar Stock Exchange, where it's all technology driven. You go there and the technology assesses that what is the load on the bar and comes and gives you rates of the drinks change. So he's already done about 110 franchises in just 3 months. It's such a brilliant technology product. So anything which is all brick and mortar businesses also would need to see that how do they create this technology connect, which can engage, which can give predictability, analytic on the business model and so on and so forth. Those businesses are going to be huge in demand. Another area, I don't know if you've noticed Franchise India ads recently. So if you notice our ads, we will find a lot of celebrities. So there are about 5 cricket stars, 4 film stars, about 2-3 chefs and so on and so forth. And this is not that suddenly we started aggregating these celebrities. I have realized that today people want to do and partner with personalities rather than industrial brands. So they like, if I was, say, Dr. Batra, homeopathy, I will write. Or Dr. Lal is a great example. Rather than some industrial corporate brand name. So if you are a top chef, and I believe in the entire thing, every day I follow you on Twitter, I am following you in your Facebook, I am seeing what you are doing, I am much more related to you than Hindustan Livers maybe. While from a confidence viewpoint, I will have still a huge amount of confidence on these large corporations, but I feel in franchising, these personality-led businesses would create a next wave. Not only in only one space, I mean, if you're a sports personality or a film personality or any other domain you've excelled, there will be a lot of franchise business models which would be business designed around that, because people follow them, right? And that is a huge change I am seeing. Right? Another area which is going to be that business concepts would be both personalized and globalized. So personalized, I've been saying this, that the whole change has been unorganized to organized and organized to specialized and now specialized to personalized. That's a huge change. But now only personalization would not work. You need to bring in a global products. People are much more aware. Only giving a choice of saying that I have 2 teas, one is a black tea and second is green tea, doesn't work. People have gone beyond that. They want origins. Right? they need to know what origin it is coming from. It is a single origin, how it is blended, what it does, and so on and so forth. So the awareness level, because of again the social connect, our overdose of media which we are getting, is making people much more aware about business models. Another area, and gentleman sitting there is one of them, the yellow kurta guy. He's super cool brand. I feel that he runs a brand called Zorba. It's a yoga brand out of Chennai. Yeah. If you get a chance, go to his booth. You'll find what I'm talking about. But it's not the yoga which Iyengars used to do. It's very cool. Himself is. I mean, look at him. He looks like a yoga guru. So those businesses are going to be the next big thing. If your brand is not cooler, it would not work. People don't want to buy tradition. You know, when I came to India with a lot of brands from US, and my friend Troy would tell you that we both know each other for many years now, and he's done a lot of work in Asia, and I've also done that. We were also having always case of these brands which were iconic American brands from the 70s, and we sold to the many markets, right? But nobody wants to buy them anymore. So every single person I meet now doesn't want to buy any burger chains which were like 70s and that. I think everybody, the last they want is maybe any new gourmet brands or new businesses, or if you go to London, a brand called Pret a Manger or places like that. So if you're not a cool brand, people don't want you. So this would be the last point I would have for today's discussion. So I call this a 888 rule, that what are the threats in the industry, opportunities and trends. I would encourage you that you please spend some time in the exhibition. If you've taken the effort to come in this morning, especially if you're not part of the exhibition, you should go out and have a tour of the exhibition. And next maybe half an hour, I think we have a very seasoned panelist, especially Dr. Manchanda. He's probably the pioneer in this space, and he will be able to share a lot of insight on the business. Thank you once again. Thanks.